One.
What's up, everybody? It is Casey with Two Rules Podcast, and with me, as always, it's the Obama to my Joe Biden. It's Jake. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. How are you? I do an
Oh,
Obama impression, by the way, but I can't.
I mean, I wish you would at least try.
I'm not gonna do that.
Broken arm pass, because guys, I have a broken arm. I fell off a bike. That's why I'm Joe Biden.
Well, Casey, what were you doing out there on out on that bike?
I was just riding it, and I hit a thing of gravel, dear president.
Okay, well, there you go. That's the best I can do, and it's not good.
Hey,
Everyone listening is like, that was garbage, and
they're
you're
like,
correct.
no, they'll be like, "Holy crap, Casey is in Illinois, so maybe Obama went and visited him as like a sorry you broke your arm riding a bike."
Yeah, you guys are tight like that, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it's
anyway, we'll get into that whole story later because it's a doozy.
yeah. You guys gotta subscribe to the YouTube channels to hear it though.
That's right.
It's our YouTube exclusive.
All right. We'll take it easy on you this week, Casey. Make sure you don't use that right arm too much.
I mean, it's my clicking one for when I'm editing. So,
we better not mess up any then.
yeah, right.
Anyway, let's get into our news. It was a rough one for news this week, at least for me. But I'll defer to the lady if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, I got like one little thing I didn't write down because it's not that big of a deal. But I'll start off with this. I guess they're going to Greg Pak is gonna revisit Planet Hulk. It's gonna be set 1,000 years in the future. Whatever. Like, it's one of those things where, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna read it and I'm probably gonna like it, but I am getting really tired of like these writers just going back to what like their biggest stories and being like, I got another story to tell from this, because it's like Planet Hulk they kind of did everything they could with it, in my opinion. So we'll see how it is. I'm still, like I said, gonna read it.
Dude, not to dunk on Marvel, but I feel like that's all they've done the last few years. We've
It
had another
sells.
Secret Wars. We've had another Clone Saga. They've done 2099 twice.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Verse,
And
Venomized a couple times.
well,
Like,
then it's not even that too, though. I mean, like, that at least is like somewhat new ideas. Like, I mean, it's the same but like different. But then you also have like the Maestro ones where it's just Peter David going, I can tell a little bit more of this stuff, or the Venom one, or the Patch one, or like these things where it's like, oh no, you guys are just telling these out of continuity stories because you have these guys on the payroll that made these things to begin with, like that Gambit story that you're might not be reading after it finished the next week or whatever. So yeah.
okay, so Greg Pak did original Planet Hulk, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if he was the same writer, he did Planet Hulk and Totally Awesome, right?
Yes.
There was an arc with Planet Hulk there, except it was with show. So
actually, I don't remember that for sure, so I don't know,
there was
because I
or
quit
maybe it
reading
was World
around
War,
the
but
the Jeremy Lin era of that.
you weren't on board for Lynn's sanity.
Nope. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where that's a comic that gets milked a lot. And I mean, for better or for worse, at least we're getting more good Hulk, I guess. I mean, 10 years from now, when we're going to be getting the Mortal Hulk revisited by Al Ewing, I know I don't have to read that at least.
Yeah, for real. All right. Well, moving on. The Flash TV show is ending with season 9, and it will be 9 episodes long. So honestly, I haven't watched in a few seasons, but I know that the people that like that show from the beginning seem to still enjoy it quite a bit. So a lot of customers, like half of them were like, oh, it's probably good it's ending there, and the other half were like, oh, I think they could keep going with it. So
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I kind of got tired of it by I think the third season. I tried watching it, I just couldn't get into it. And like the main problem I have with that show is they relied way too heavy on the speedster villains. It's like Flash has, in my opinion, the coolest rogues gallery. And he's got so many cool ones to draw from. And but the problem is, one of the problems is they cast a guy that was very likable to be Captain Cold. So then they're like, he needs his own spin-off show. But like they could have done more stuff with them. Instead, they're like, no, we need to keep having him fight speedsters all the time, every time. And that got real tiresome.
Yep, it sure did. As did some of the side characters.
Yeah. Okay, so this got confirmed today, but Idris Elba has confirmed in an interview that he is actually going to be returning as Bloodsport. I know you're pretty happy with that. Should be pretty cool. He didn't say in what, and it might, because like James Gunn has already said that like his stuff with Discovery Warner Brothers is still going forward, so it might be a new Suicide Squad, or it might be one of the mystery gun things that he's doing.
Bloodsport spin-off show.
Very well could be. I mean, I would rather watch that than a Peacemaker show.
I still need to watch that.
I didn't watch it, and I don't plan on it.
All right. So Joker 2 Folie à Deux has gotten its official release date of October 2024. I guess that's not really a solidified date, but we know it's coming out in October of 2024. Oh, and I also saw that Lady Gaga herself confirmed her involvement in that. So there we go.
Yeah. And then I also read it's supposed to be taking mostly in place in Arkham. But
this movie I think is either gonna be like bonkers in the best way possible, or it's just gonna be the biggest flop ever.
I don't think it's gonna be a flop, but I think it's gonna be. I mean, I have a feeling it's gonna be really weird and out there, and I don't think this one I'm gonna be able to go see in theaters with the girlfriend because she hates musicals so much. But she it's weird because she loved the last Joker, but like anytime there's a musical, she hates it. Like even if it's a show that she watches and she loves, like there's a musical episode, she's like, I just had to quit watching it because they started singing and I hate that. So I don't think it's gonna be a thing.
Is she not really into music in general, or
she likes music? She just hates musicals. It's like as soon as they start singing and something that they shouldn't be singing in, it's over.
Well, okay. More power to her.
Yeah, so I'm kind of okay with not seeing this in theaters, waiting for it to be on HBO Max. And while we're on the subject of HBO Max, here's some big old news. Batgirl's been axed by Warner Brothers. The $90 million movie won't be released on any platform. They're wanting to pivot towards more theatrical releases and do stuff that will make more money. So they blew 90 millions on nothing. But then, as you pointed out, and as stuff's kind of come out later, they're actually using it as a tax write-off so that the movie will now never be legally released. But it's too bad. I guess they just didn't want to pour more money into it to make it this way. And then also there's some people that have people that they talk to, and they're also like the Never Give Up Snyder Bros. And they're saying another reason is this leans heavily into the new universe that they're trying to do, that the old Warner Brothers was trying to do. So they're like with Keaton as Batman and all that stuff. So they're like, no, thank you. And so then let's go from there. And that could be part of it too. They might just see that that doesn't make as much money, but I could just very well see it. The big thing is just money related. Like at $15 a pop for people buying it, you're not gonna be able to make $90 million back very quickly off of subscriptions. So I get why they wouldn't want that.
Right. I don't think we'll ever get the full story, but I also heard that like some higher ups at Discovery or whatever watched it and said that it wasn't good enough. So
I've heard that too, but I've also heard test screenings came back and it got the same test score as the new Shazam movie and other stuff like that. So I mean, I do think a big part of it is it's probably like from stuff that from stuff that it sounds like it looked like a TV movie. So they would have to pump in probably another 50 million or whatever to, make it look like it should be at theaters if they wanted to get it in theaters, and all of that extra stuff that comes with it being in theaters. And it probably just wasn't worth it. And they can, tax write off. So,
well, it is a shame. I was looking forward to that one, but what can you do?
yeah.
All right. So, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Bandai Namco and Wayfarer Studios are teaming up on a live-action Pac-Man movie. Chuck Williams, who was heavily involved with the Sonic the Hedgehog movies of Lightbeam Entertainment, has come up with an original idea for the film. So, all you Pac-Man fans out there, buckle up.
Dude, that's another step closer to the Super Smash Bros. Universe.
I agree, especially if it's the same people involved.
And then one thing that I was thinking of too, I hope there's a scene where, like, in Pac-Man Village or whatever, there's a bad Pac-Man going around, doing bad stuff, and then there's this guy voiced by Adam Sandler, and he goes, "Pac-Man's a bad guy," like in the Pixels trailer.
Yeah, I've seen lots of memes like, wasn't there already one? And then it showed the Pac-Man eating the bus. I never saw that movie. I have no idea if
Neither
that was
did
good
I.
or not.
It couldn't have been. I just remember because that was when I was in Bloomington still, and that trailer came on, and I was seeing a movie with my buddy Chase, and like for some reason Chase just has like the ability to make me laugh at the most and worst times, and like he leans over and he goes, "Pac-Man's a bad guy." Had me fucking crying.
Well, we'll see what happens. I think it's okay to be optimistic about this, because a lot of people didn't think that Sonic movie was gonna do as well as it did. So we'll see.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you're a diehard Pac-Man fan, remember it's about a circle that eats things in a fucking maze
with ghosts.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be, unless you're like, it has to match the canon from the cartoon series from the 80s where he had a family. Like, don't think that much into it, guys.
Dude, it sounds like you're the only person that's really into that.
Hey, I'm open to this being good, okay?
Okay,
but if
fair enough.
Pac Baby isn't in it, I'm not in that theater.
Sure.
Okay, so Warner Brothers is trying to come up with their own 10-year plan. I think this is about the 10th time that I've heard this, but now that they got this new people, they haven't really said what their plan's gonna be yet. We probably won't know until they get their version of Kevin Feige out and about. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm interested in hearing it. Like, I'm always hopeful with them, but I have a feeling like they're screwing themselves, because it's like, yeah, we're gonna get this 10-year plan, and Marvel Disney's kind of milked the superhero genre for all the billions it's worth, and now we can't do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see what you mean, but I think there's still hope there, because like the DC stuff has not been anywhere close to what Marvel and Disney has done, and I think people are hungry for like DC Universe stuff. So
I think, well, I mean, I see what you're saying too, and I think comic book fans are, but the average person that goes, "Why isn't Superman in the Avengers?" I don't think they care. And I think they're like, I'm getting tired of all these Marvel movies. I don't know why they're Southern, but they're gonna be like that. And it's like, well, no, this is DC, and they're like, I don't know what that is, like, because this isn't the norm,
right.
So, like, us knowing all this crap is not normal.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's like, doesn't everybody own a comic book shop?
Well, hey. Speaking of comic books, DC, that I put this in here for you, dude. DC is putting out a trade paperback for early Detective Chimp comics all in one place.
That's pretty exciting. I will have to check that out.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll do the first appearance and then certain key issues. But for anybody out there that's like, I've been hearing an awful lot on Two Worlds podcast about this Detective Chimp character. I want to see what he's all about. Well, head to your local comic book shop and tell him you want to copy this when it comes out.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where, as someone I would say I'm a fan. I'm Detective Chimp curious for sure because I've not read very many of his appearances, so this is like really cool for me too.
I wonder, did you read that one like early 2000s DC book that had Detective Chimp and like Etrigan and stuff like that? And you know what I'm talking about?
Shadow Pact.
Shadow Pact, yes.
So I read the precursor, and it was Days of Vengeance is what it was called, and it had some connection to like JSA that you were reading, but it was basically like all of Spectre went crazy because old what's her name, Eclipso, when she was possessing Jean Loring, she was like whispering in Spectre without a host's ear and basically making him destroy all magic users. So like he couldn't kill Dr. Fate or the Phantom Stranger, but he could like stop them. So like he imprisoned Dr. Fate in his helmet, like it just had him like crush the helmet, so like it was just smashed up helmet, and then like turn Phantom Stranger into a mouse and all this stuff. And like so this group was like Zatanna, I think Shiny Knight, Detective Chimp, Ragman, Blue Devil, yeah. And I'm trying to think. Oh, and then like Shazam shows up later on. It was when he was still Captain Marvel, and like so Zatanna's like having to channel all this magic energy into Shazam, so he has an actual chance of beating him. And it's pretty dope. Like I would, if it's at
you're
Two Worlds
really
podcast,
selling me on it.
yeah,
Honestly,
or
it
not Two
sounds
Worlds
awesome.
podcast. If it's at the Two Worlds podcast comic book shop, comic headquarters, check it out. It's like I said, it's super cool. And then like Shadow Pact after that, I was never just able to get because that was the Walden days, and Walden Books is like, we're not going to carry that nonsense.
What is this nerd shit?
Yeah. They're like, it's Superman, Spider-Man, Batman for us. Okay. But so my last bit of news, we haven't had this in a while, so this is fun. It's Ezra Watch 2022. I had to think about the date. But so Ezra's been charged with felony burglary. So, that's something new for him. And
we all have, right?
Yeah, we've been there. And then I've heard rumors that they're also kind of losing their mind. Surprise. And it's allegedly like they're now carrying a gun around with them. They're not staying the same area. And they're worried the FBI and the KKK are after them. So yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if these charges are going to stick. Some of these other ones haven't. So, there's people, I guess there's Snyder fans out there that are like, no, this is all hit piece from WB and it's all malarkey. And then there's other people that believe it as, 100%. So
imagine being one of those delusional morons.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I like some of the Snyder stuff, but it's like you can't just, when there's a whole laundry list, you can't just be like, I'm still thinking it's Warner Brothers doing this to him.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not a doctor, but I think that they need to be on some medication.
For sure. And they just need help in general, whether that be medication or whether it be, I don't know, someone just to smack them on the nose and say, stop it, sir, every time that they do something stupid.
Yeah. All right. In my last bit of news, the world is getting the first annual Game of Thrones convention that will be coming to Los Angeles, LA in December. Kit Harington will be there. A few other guests were announced already as well. But I'm sure that that's where we'll see trailers and announcements for all these spinoffs that are coming out. So I'm pretty amped. It's not something I'm going to
Oh,
attend
okay.
in person.
That was my first
Uh,
question. I was like, you got your plane ticket?
Nah, it'd be cool, but I'm sure that would be a pricey trip. But I am infinitely excited for any announcements or any bit of goodness that comes out of that show. So
Yeah, I mean, have they done a video game of that show yet? You'd think that that would be something that would be 100% at least they'd get money from you for.
yeah, I mean maybe they've done like a mobile game or something, but not like a AAA title or anything
Yeah,
like that.
I'm sure they've done a mobile game where it's like one of the 10,000 other mobile games that look like Game of Thrones. And they just slap Game of Thrones on it.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the news. So now we're going to take our ad break and Casey's How I Broke My Arm story break, and we'll be right back to talk comics.
Okay, so I woke up on Wednesday morning and I was like, there's this nice blacktop road that these nice construction workers have been working on for a good bit of time outside my house. I'm like, I'm gonna just see how fast I can go. And so I get on my bike and I go biking, and I'm like, that's pretty great. I got, I think, 18 miles per hour going on that. I wasn't even like pushing it that hard. That was the coolest part. Like I've gone faster, but at the same time, like by the end of it, my legs were dead. But I was like, I wanted to bike 30 miles that day. So I was like, I'm not gonna kill myself on the first mile like an idiot. So I, got off. Then when I finally got off the blacktop road, I went on this other road and I started going on that. And I get to where I'm gonna turn, and I'm on a road bike. So my wheels are like this thin. And I see the gravel in the road, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna slow down a bit. And I hit my brakes, and I did not slow down enough. And I hit that gravel and it just dropped me. And I landed so, like this hand, because like I know this hand was flat because I have like gravel holes all in my hand, and my ankles all tore up. And I just, first thing I did, I didn't like pay attention to really how I landed. I just kind of know. But first thing I did, I stood up and I just walked it off, because that's what you do. That's what we were taught. It's just like,
Come on,
no,
be a man.
like you just walk it off and you get whatever's hurting to move. And like, because when I first started walking, this right arm was just hanging like at my side. I'm like, oh, I gotta keep walking until it starts working. And so I started, like, at first I started with my hand on it and I bent it up and I bent it back down. And I was like, okay, cool, it's working. And then I have to walk over to the bike because the chain came off. Luckily, it didn't break my bike. Like it happened last year. And so then I put my chain back on and I biked home. So I didn't do my whole 30. I was like close. I was like 5.9 miles away from home. So I just rode that the rest of the way home. And like both of my arms are hurt. I'm pretty sure, like looking back, I was telling Jake before, I tore both of my biceps in the landing. And so then I'm like, I'm in a good amount of pain. But I'm like, I still had some work to do at the farm. So I took a break until like noon. I was icing myself up and stuff. And then I went to like mow, like I was supposed to mow some roadsides, but like I hate mowing roadsides because the tractor we use feels really tippy. And I was like, you know what? My grandpa, when he was still alive, bought a weed whacker that's got like a buzzsaw end. I'll use that. And I don't know if you have like fucked up arms and you try to start a weed whacker. It's terrible. And it didn't work. Like that thing didn't fucking work. And it just balled up on me. So like I'm like in so much pain, but I was like, fuck. So I went back home, I ate lunch, and I just kind of was like, I'll just have to take the other tractor, whatever. And so I waited around till 3, kind of like iced up until 3 o'clock. And I got on the tractor, and it's like I couldn't at this point turn the key for the truck or for the tractor. So I had to use this arm and reach over and do that. And I got that, and I got all of this mowed up, and I went back home. And then like I finally, then the rest of the night it was mostly just icing and eating Advil like it was a candy. And then and then at about 3 o'clock, my dog wakes me up. And then I couldn't get back to sleep because like my arm was just radiating pain. Both of them were. And I was like, this is terrible. Fuck it. I'm going to go to the ER. So I go to the ER and I tell them, I'm like, yeah, I fell riding my bike. Both my arms are, hurting really badly. My right one's worse than my left. And so they're like, okay. So I go in there. They take all my vitals. They ask me everything that happened again. So I tell them a second time. And then like, okay, we're going to get a doctor in here. And they actually had to help me take my shirt off and put a gown on because I couldn't get the shirt off on my own. And then the doctor comes in. He asks me everything again. He has me do the same test I did with the nurses. And then he's like, I think it's your spine. And I'm like, I look at him. I'm like, it's like when a salesman tries to sell you something that is just a like a garbage can of shit. And he's like, why are you looking at me? I'm like, I landed on my arms. And he's like, yeah, but when you're doing the squeeze test, this is the only test, by the way, because I had me do all these other ones that were like spinal related that I failed. He's like, your right arm had weakness. I'm like, okay, my right arm had weakness because I'm in so much fucking pain. It hurts to squeeze. That's why it's weaker, because I just can't do that without being in pain. And he's like, it still could be your spine. And I'm like, I don't think it is. He's like, well, then what do you want me to do? I'm like, x-ray my arm. I said arms, by the way, not just my arm, because at this point I didn't think this was torn. I thought this might have had something broken in it too. I thought, and so he's like, okay, we can do that. And he kind of got like a little snippy with me. And then I could hear him talking to the nurses. He's like, he doesn't want his spine checked out. He didn't think that was right. And so I'm like, fucking idiot. And so then the x-ray lady comes in and she's, she's very nice, very lovely. And then she does the x-rays, which fucking x-rays suck when your arm is in so much pain and like it can't like I can't open my arm all the way up. And so like she's having to like just open it up for me. I'm like, oh damn, this is terrible.
Are you like cursing or like
I'm not trying to, because like I'm not trying to be a dick to her, like, and like the nurses like were great. This is my doctor was a fucking idiot. But so I even told her, like, I'm sorry I'm being a pain in the ass, but this is terrible. She's like you're not being a pain in the ass. I know this is bad. But
that's so funny.
She then, did the stuff, they pass it on, and then my dopey doctor comes back in and he's like, yeah, you have a chip out of your arm right here. And he points at it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's like no shit that my arm, like that there's a thing. And then so he's just like, yeah, so just rest and take some Advil if it hurts. And maybe icing will help. I'm like, oh, okay. Sounds good. And then he's like, I'll get you a sling too. I'm like, thanks.
Dude, what would have made this all so much better is if your doctor had the same exact voice as Choose Goose from Adventure Time.
Dude, Choose Goose would be a competent doctor in comparison.
Oh man.
But like what was funny is like the guy, he looked like one of my old communications teachers at ISU. I was like, dude, this guy looks like Frank. He was my favorite teacher. This is gonna be awesome. And I'm like, nah, he sucks.
He's not like Frank at all.
No, Frank would have listened. He knew all about the correct ways to communicate. And then what's really funny too, though, is I explained them everything about, I explained it correctly. I know I did. You can look at like, what they wrote down. They wrote it down wrong. Because like, and first off, when I told them I landed, I'm like, I'm not really sure how I landed, but I know I landed like this. I just don't know how my hands got all tore up too. So I might have, and he then, when he came back in, he's like, and it's odd though, that it's this arm because you landed on this one. I'm like, I landed on both of them. I told you this. So
It's like, it's crazy because you landed on your feet. I just
Yeah.
don't know what
It's like,
happened.
what the heck? You told me you landed on your feet, did a perfect backflip, and you're just like, hey, my arms are hurt. I'm like, what are you talking about, sir?
Oh man. I'm so glad that you waited to tell me the doctor part for this. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
a treat.
It was just, it's impressive. Like, because it's weird. Because I've told you this before. I don't know if you've ever been to the Shelbyville ER, but
Nope.
the times I've been, like, I got, when I was in high school, Elliot Upoff bopped me in the eye when we were playing basketball. I got busted open and I had to get my eye glued, that hole glued open or shut, and they glued it open like bleed. But no, dude was awesome. I once had pneumonia and I went there because I just couldn't stop coughing. And my doctor at the time was just like, I don't know what's wrong with you. And so then I ended up going to the ER then. And that doctor was awesome. They got me feeling better. And then when I was like, well, what can I do about this cough? And he's just like, do a shot of whiskey. And because he's like, this was clearly an older man, if you couldn't tell by him telling me to do a shot of whiskey. He's like, that's going to help with the cough. So, hey, if you guys have the COVID cough or whatever, and you can't sleep, do a shot of whiskey, and it actually does help. It's pretty rad. And then, like, I've been there like just different times, all awesome. And then this time I'm like, holy crap, this is like a third world country. And I know I'm, being hyperbolic, but still, holy shit.
It'd be awesome if it was the same doctor and he's like, have you tried a shot of whiskey? And then your
Like,
arms just healed.
Yeah. Like, holy shit, man, you're awesome.
It's like, a shot of whiskey, say less, fam.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've got one on me.
He's got the bartender thing where it's like, the holster of a cup. He's like,
oh man. Well, it's, I called you on Friday to talk to you. Are you feeling better since then at least, or is it still just like the same shitty pain?
it's like, it's off and on. It's weird. A part of my problem now too is like, I feel okay enough that I can do stuff, and I do too much and then I hurt. Like Sunday I had some stuff for the compost. I was like, I want to turn my compost bin because it's on rollers and you can just, and I was doing that, and like, that's one of the things that makes me really do, like, I really do think I tore something in the biceps area because like I'm trying to pull and it's like I can't.
Okay, well, stop doing that.
And so I was like, I'm trying to use this hand too. That's all, that's in the sling. I'm like, it's just not working.
Dude, don't make me drive to Shelbyville and put you in like a straight jacket or something so that you stop using your arms.
I have to keep it like this, sir. Straight jacket wouldn't help.
You know what I mean. Stop doing stuff. I know that I said that would be the whole story, but I want to tell my quick story because I think it's so stupid. So real quick, guys, a dummy that came into my shop over the week, he brings in a bunch of like relatively newer comics. I say newer within like the last decade. And like maybe a third of them are free comic book day books, and he wants to sell them to me. And I politely decline. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, dude. They're just like, they're newer than I usually buy. And also like a bunch of these are free books from Free Comic Book Day. So then he gets the old like salesman face going on. He's like, well, they were free at one time. I'm like, nope, they're still free. I've still got a bunch of them. I'll give you some more if you want. So then what he does is the truly baffling part of the story. He looks in my glass case where I have a bundle of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. And it's $100 bundle. And he's like, well, how about we trade all of these for that Dark Knight Returns bundle? And I'm just like, no. Why would I do that if I'm not willing to give you any amount of money for these? And he's like, so you're telling me these are worthless? I'm like, well, not worthless. I just don't want them. It's like, all right, fine. And he picks him up, and on his way out the door, he just dramatically throws them down in my trash can and leaves. So that's the story.
I hope next free comic book day, I already said this to you, but I just like the joke. I hope next free comic book day, when you're doing like the dollar comics or 50-cent comics or whatever, you have all those in there. And then he just goes through, he's like, holy shit, this stuff's good.
Can't believe this is in the quarter bin.
Like, why is he giving these just for a quarter? And
oh man. All right, folks, welcome back. If you would like to hear the entire saga of Casey breaking his arm and what he dealt with at the doctor's office, as well as I have a very short story about a fun customer I had at the shop last week.
maybe the customer's you. Maybe my ER doctor was the customer. He's listening right now, just so mad.
I know, wouldn't that be wild? If you'd like to hear about all that, then head on over to our YouTube channel, which is Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube. And while you're there, throw us a little subscribe. We need it. We're begging, please.
And if you want me to tell you everything that happened, my parts and Jake parts, you have to come to my house on a tandem bicycle and and I'll say it to you while we're tandem bicycling. You're doing all the work because I'm crippled. But I'll tell it all that way so you don't have to click on the YouTubes.
Okay. One of those seems much easier than the other.
One seems much more romantic, though.
You're not wrong. All right, Casey, what comics did you read this week?
Okay, so I read Ghostrider number 5, Stillwater 14, Goldenrage number 1, Godzilla Rivals, Batra, the new Champion of Shazam 1 of 4, Flashpoint Beyond 4 of 6, Dark Crisis number 3, Batman 126, and Twig, whatever number this is.
Oh man, I forgot Twig.
Ah, dude.
I know. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a really good one. You're gonna hear me gush about it.
I believe it. All right. I read Moon Knight 14, Sword of Azrael, Dark Knight of the Soul one shot, Sword of Azrael number 1, New Champion of Shazam number 1, Batman 126, and DC versus Vampires 8.
Okay, I didn't hear. Did you say Flashpoint Beyond and Dark Crisis?
No, because I got Dark Crisis late, which is why you have the variant that they sent.
Yeah.
And Flashpoint I straight up forgot about.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's not bad. I'll say that.
I will read it.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest have been okay.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. It's not. There's nothing about it that makes me go like, oh man. Okay, so then I'm gonna start with a Ghostrider number 5. I love this book. This is just a fun time. This one, it's so like this is something that they would have done back in like the 90s when everyone needed like separate toys for things, because this is the big race of motorcycles. And is it just ghosts like Johnny Blaze and other bikers? No, Blade's got a motorcycle here, Rhino's got a motorcycle here, Dracula's got a motorcycle, Man Thing has his own motorcycle, Doctor Doom's there with a motorcycle.
That sounds awesome.
It is. And it's like, so like I said, it's one of those things where I 100% could see this being like, because when like the toy, like it was, what was it, Toy Wiz owned Marvel, like, yeah, give them all motorcycles, we'll sell them. and
they would have too.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And then like, so the Wolverine teams up with Johnny, because like it's Johnny Blaze, not Ghostrider, because he doesn't want to, Ghostrider doesn't want to come out and play right now. And yeah, we're getting more stuff figured out what's going on, and Johnny and Wolverine team up because they're both good guys. And yeah, I love it. I loved it so much. And I didn't say who was writing it, but it's by Benjamin Percy. And who does the art? Corey Smith does the art. And it's such a good time. I think everyone should be reading this book. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Why not? I'll just toss that out to it. I liked it a lot. Still not my pick of the week, though. No.
There's another 10?
I mean, it's a book you didn't read.
Oh, is it Twig?
It is. I friggin' loved it.
Bummer. All right. So I'll start with Moon Knight, number 14. It's written by Jed McKay with art by Alessandro Capuccio. And this one is pretty neat. The whole comic is kind of split between him fighting this new group of people I couldn't even tell you the names of. One looks like Sabretooth. I thought for a while that it was Sabretooth. And then the other half is him having his inside his own mind meeting with Stephen Grant and Jake Lockley. And the other two are just like, have you ever stopped and thought that maybe it's not us that's messing up your life, but maybe it's you? And they have like a whole big thing. It was all very, very good. By the end, Mark is like, "You're right. I'm a screw up. I need to get stuff figured out." And then he gets, spoiler alert, taken out by Sabretooth and essentially Samurai Sonia Lady, or Mariko from the new Peach Momoko book. But Hunter's Moon and Tiger show up, and that's where it ends. So I'm guessing it's going to be like a part 2 of In My Mind thing. Also, I just realized that I left my copy of the new Demon Days book at the store. I was awful this week.
Dang, bud.
I
It's
know.
like you have a lot going on or something.
Yeah, I know, right? But anyway, this was really, really good. It doesn't sound like it would be all that exciting, but it really was done super well, and the art is just killer as always. So I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Now, how did you like the stuff in his head? Because like that Lemire leaned heavy into like just the inner workings of his brain stuff, and you weren't the biggest fan of Lemire's run. So like, were you okay with this one since it's just mostly just them talking?
Yeah, because I don't know, like in this one, he's talking about how like his friend that is the secretary at his mission, the vampire lady, I'm blanking on her name, but he's like, she's like the only one in my life that is like, that has a condition and it's just like, living with it. And, that's who I need to be more like. There's something wrong with me. I need to just get it under control and live with it and not be labeled as like the crazy Avenger or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe this was just explored a little bit better, but
I got you, man. Okay, so Stillwater 14 by Chip Zdarsky with Ramon K. Perez on the art. And I liked it basically since they spread out the town, the town of Stillwater and made it so more people are immortal. It's this new town's dealing with this stuff and all the ramifications from it. And it's good. I enjoyed it a good bit. This is like a perfectly fine issue of Stillwater. There's nothing about it that like made me go like, oh wow, now this is gonna get you people to start reading it. But it's also like, if you guys should read it, it's good. I've enjoyed every issue so far. So yeah, I mean, it's like I'm gonna go with a perfectly average 7 out of 10.
nice. Every time I think that book is like wrapped up, another one comes out.
Yeah.
Because usually books like this, outside of a couple titles, don't go on as long as it has.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So DC versus Vampires, number 8. I would like to show the variant cover because it's amazing.
Nice.
And
No, that's very like a not well thought out though, because it's like she shoots them once and she's like gotta put one on her arm and like bring it back.
Right, like Huntress. But this was written by James Tynan and Matthew Rosenberg, and art is done by Otto Schmidt and Danielle Di Nicolo. So yeah, this is pretty cool. So Dr. Fate, Phantom Stranger, the Spectre, and Faust are all in the House of Mystery, like trying to come up with a magical cure for vampirism, which I think is pretty neat. So that's all happening. Constantine is out, goes out to get Barbara and send her to Gotham to kill Dick. And then Barbara rescues Harley Quinn and recruits Frankenstein and Black Canary to go off and do this. And so this book kind of divides into 3 teams. So we've got that team that I will call Birds of Prey plus Frankenstein.
Dude, I would read that book.
I know, right?
Coming this fall from Gail Simone, Birds of Prey plus Frankenstein.
Dude, and she would knock it out of the park.
Oh, 100%.
Then Green Arrow is off doing something on his own. And then the other team is Supergirl, Steel, and Black Manta.
Nice.
So yeah, it's fun. Some parts I'm like, man, this is stupid because blah, 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 I'm a nerd. But I'm like, okay, it's outside of continuity and it doesn't matter, so just enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to give it probably like a 7.5.
Right on, man. Okay, so Goldenrage #1 by Chrissy Williams and Lauren Knight. And I talked about this book, being really excited about it because the premise alone is bonkers. Like, people talked about being Golden Girls meets Battle Royale, which sounds hilarious. And it's one of those things where the premise is neat, but they added in the main character who's younger, and they're the weak point of this. Like, the main character is the part I don't care about. I want just old women beating the crap out of each other. I don't need this younger person that's, has early menopause, and that's why she's there as the main person. I don't care about that. Like, no, I don't know anyone that's like starting up reading this book because of that. That being said, I might end up really liking her. I might not. I don't know. I'm very much cinched in for the ride. The art in this is good. It's just right now, it's not really what I was hoping for, I should say, hearing what it's about and everything. But I'm still interested. I'm still like I said, here for the ride. I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10, but by the time it's over, I might be upping that a good bit, be like, oh boy, was I wrong at the beginning of this.
Right. Well, and I hope that you are, just for your sake, because you're reading
man. I mean, if I'm like, dude, this is the best comic I've ever read, would you read it?
Yeah, I will.
Okay. I have a feeling it's not gonna be that good, but I have a feeling it's gonna be good. Like, that's what I'm thinking.
All right. So next I'm going to talk about both Sword of Azrael books. I'm not sure why they did the one shot and the #1 on the same week. Very bizarre.
Did the one shot come out first, or is there continuity issues? Like, if you read one first and the other one, or no?
I mean, not really. There's slight ties, but I mean, it's the same creative team, so I would read both personally.
Yeah.
But anyway, they both are written by Dan Waters, who did that Arkham City book that I was a huge fan of. And then the art is done by, and I looked up pronunciation, so I hope I'm saying it right, Nicola Sismazija or Sismazija. It's like Polish or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
You want me to call Wukosh and see if he can tell you?
I mean, maybe outside of the podcast.
So I'll get the Two Worlds podcast residential poll on the line. See if he'll answer.
So yeah, I like the one shot a good bit because people are like coming back from the dead. And then Azrael looks into it and finds out it's because a scientist is creating the Lazarus resin that we see in Task Force Z. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'm reading both of these things. Also, we get this cool chick.
Nice.
And Batman comes to Azrael because he's like, yo, people are dying around town, getting decapitated and stuff. I know how crazy you can be with Azrael, stuff, which I'll get to that more in a second. He's like, no more deaths, I'm coming for you. And you find out that it's actually this gal who is kind of like the Knights Templar version of Azrael,
Okay.
she's like their weapon, even though Azrael was told that the Knights Templar was eradicated. So she's going around with this halberd, decapitating drug dealers and stuff. But anyway, this book is cool. What I don't like is that they're kind of doing a Moon Knight thing with John Paul and Azrael. Like Azrael has internal dialogue boxes that are like, let me out. I could put a stop to these guys right now. But John Paul doesn't want to because the continuity now is that the Order of Saint Dumas did like a hypnosis thing on him, and made him think that he was doing God's work when really he was doing the Order of Saint Dumas' work. But now John Paul works at like a hospice and is following the true path, meaning he reads the Bible every day and is helping people on their deathbeds. So he doesn't want to be Azrael, even though that part of him really wants to come out at all times when there's danger or somebody's in trouble. So I don't know how I feel about that because I don't want them to go the Moon Knight route with Azrael because I don't think they need to.
I mean, Azrael has always been pretty crazy, though.
Yeah, it's just it feels like a copy.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I'm reading both. But we don't need Azrael to like be DC's Moon Knight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we already have that. His name's Batman.
Exactly. So yeah, anyway, at this point in the story, the Lazarus resin only works for like 2 hours. So he sees a guy leave the morgue that he saw die the night before, but then he gets to his place and he's already dead again. But anyway, it's cool. It's sad. I liked it. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Right on, man.
And real quick, the actual number one, same creative team. Some girl makes it to this island that he's on. He's at like an island monastery because he's trying really hard to suppress the Azrael stuff. And a lady shows up who says that God told her to come find a monk on this island named John Paul to help her out. He goes through some crazy like inner conversations with himself and finds the true form of Azrael. And I'm about to show you because they do it. The artist drew this true form like biblical angels are
Yeah.
supposed to look like, which is actually kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So here's that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it looks awesome. So anyway, while he's off, or he has that, meanwhile, one of our other friends from another book we really like shows up. Casey.
Who is it? I can't tell.
It's Vengeance, Bane's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And obviously, everyone thinks that she's there being a bad guy. So Azrael goes to stop her, lets Azrael come out to play for a little bit. And she's like, I'm not here to kill her. I'm here to bring her in. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, well, uh, she's trying to put together the Knights Templar again or something like that. So it cuts to her with Azrael's flaming sword about to kill all the other monks, and that's where it ends. So I don't know. It was crazy, but super cool. I love the artwork a whole bunch. I didn't know what I wanted from this Azrael series, but Dan Waters is like a rising star in my opinion. So
Yeah.
this gets a 10. It is my pick of the week.
Right on, man. Okay, so next up, I'm not going to talk about this much because I don't want to spoil anything for Jake because I actually really, really love this, but it's Twig, and it's by Scotty Young and Kyle Strom on the art. And this is like Scotty Young at his best writing wise. Like he has written a bunch of different random stuff. Like before this, probably his best writing was that Magneto book, at least the stuff that I've read. And this is better. This is like, there's so much world building, so much cool stuff, so much stuff that Jake's gonna love. And it's just really good. Like as I was reading this, I'm like, Jake's gonna probably have this be his pick of the week because it's really, really good. So I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. It's a very good time.
I'm glad.
I didn't want to give any plot details away, but
I
it's
appreciate
good.
I've just got Shazam and Batman. So
All right. So next up will be Flashpoint Beyond, and this is by a whole mess of people. It's got Jeff Johns, Tim Sheridan, and Jeremy Adams, with Zermanico and Mikhail Hanin on the art. And yeah, this is pretty great. You get, maybe a new Robin for old Grumpy Thomas and stuff. And I like it. We're kind of building up more to the mystery of what's going on. This is a pretty solid issue. It's like this is another one of those books where it's like there's nothing really to complain about, but there's also nothing to rave about. Like how I was talking about Stillwater. This is a comic book. It's perfectly good. It's a 7 out of 10. It's like I said, nothing about that made me mad or anything, but nothing about that blew me away. Dark Crisis issue 3, and this is by Joshua Williamson and Sampier on the art. Get his first name because I'm bad at names. Daniel Sampier on the art. And yeah, this is like kind of building up where the last one left off. Yara Flor shows up, and Connor is very much, that's his name, right? Or no, John. John's very much going, I need to dump this pink hair boy and get with that. Because like when she shows up, he's like, Yara.
I mean, it's like same.
Yeah, everyone in there is like Yara. But yeah, and then there's a big team shows up, and that's gonna get Jake very pumped. And then there's some Green Lantern stuff, and I just noticed something. Oh boy, that's stupid. The last page, like front and center, is like a character that it's just the stupidest thing that she's front and center. If you can guess by my disdain and that she's a woman, it should tell you exactly who it is.
Is it Teen Lantern?
No, it is not Teen Lantern, but it is a character that we both hate so much.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I have no idea.
It's a character, I'll give you one last hint that's going to give it away. Made by one James Tynion, who was pushed to the moon like she was John Cena. Could beat anybody if she wanted.
Oh, Punchline?
Yes.
Oh, man.
I didn't notice that the first time. I just noticed everyone else. Then this time I was like, that's Punchline. That sucks. But no, this is another one where it's like, it's an event book. You know what you're getting. It's a 7.5 out of 10. It's like, cool, Okay, so next up, it's Godzilla Rivals Batra. This is by Rosie Knight and Oliver Ono. Now, I have a lot to say about this book. So the art in it's really cool. They do a very good job of, because like this girl is living in this town. They don't really know if monsters are real or not. Like a lot of them are, rumors. She thinks they are, and she's looking for Batra. and all this stuff. And then they figure out a way to finding Batra. And there's some stuff like, oh yeah, the dang old like, oh, like these big factories are ruining this earth and blah blah blah. And then they find Batra, and like while I was reading this, I was like, girl, if these factories are destroying your earth and you find Batra, Batra will just kill all humans. Like that's what Batra does. Like I think Batra's a she. I could be wrong on that. Her thing is protect the earth. I don't give a shit about people. Like Mothra, kind of the same way, but she's at the same time like, we can let them live. Batra's like, no, they're the problem. So yeah, sure enough, Batra wake, and then they're like, shit, we got to find Godzilla. And so then they find Godzilla, and Godzilla and Batra fight, and Batra's like actually winning. And they find a way to bring Mothra in, and then Mothra talks Batra like, hey, maybe we could just have them fix things and be better. And then Batra's like, well, we could give that a shot, I guess. I like the idea of killing them more. And then Godzilla's just kind of like, okay, bye. Like first off, Batra started off in her really cool moth form, which is like, it looks great, but she should have started off, it doesn't make any sense for her to start off like that. She should have started off in her larva form, did some destructions that cocooned, and then that's when the death cultists show up, and then and start praising her while they wait for her to get out of her cocoon and kill everybody. Second, Godzilla can beat Batra by himself. In the movie, they had to have Batra and Mothra to make it a fight for Godzilla. And then it's also just like the way things were working, because they're at the whole thing, they're like, Godzilla's a bad guy and Batra's the good one, and Batra's appears and they're like, we need Godzilla. Sometimes they said he was a good guy. And like, so like there's story elements, but I do like that this one, they actually, because like the King Ghidorah one, which I loved because it was like a Showa one, this one, like they're trying really hard to do the old, like a lot of the Godzilla movies where it introduces politics, and like this one's heavy into the pollution and stuff, which I'm all about that. I think that was great. I love that. I love that so much because they did that a lot like the movies would have. It's just kind of like there's different aspects that they just kind of whiffed on story wise, but it's still a great time. And like I said, the art in it's really good. I just wish they would have, I guess, like, I don't know, done things just like slightly different. Than this would have been my pick of the week because I had a great time reading it. It's just like, yeah, Batra's not that tough, guys. Come on.
So lots of Godzilla nerd stuff that brings it down a little bit.
Yeah, but it's at the same time, like that's who this book's for. I don't think anyone listening to this is like, I almost picked it up, but I wasn't sure if Batra was done right or not, So I just was like, I'm gonna stay away until I hear what Casey says. I don't think that's a thing. I think if you're just gonna pick it up if you're a Godzilla fan or if you're not. So I'm gonna give this an 8.5 out of 10, but it actually is pretty awesome. And if you are a Godzilla fan, I'd recommend it because it's like the Batra, like anything with a flying monster in comic book form is 1,000 times better than in movie form, because it's like outside of like King of the Monsters, there has like I've not seen like a really good Mothra fight scene, because it's just the big moth on strings and she's just slamming into stuff and it does not look good. Like in her standalone movie, it looks awesome. Like it's the old Showa designs and stuff, but you don't have like she's going against tanks and stuff, so it doesn't look as bad. When she's going against the guy in the suit, it looks really bad because what can a flying moth do against that?
Right. So first off, I think Batra is like the coolest name.
Oh, it's awesome. Like everything about Batra is cool.
Yeah, cool design, name, 10 out of 10. And also what I wanted to mention is that I would say that there are maybe a couple people that listen that would wait before they heard what you feel about the Godzilla stuff before getting something. So, give yourself some credit, man.
Well, gosh darn. But yeah, no, I'm 100%. If you're a Godzilla fan, this is still like a must read. And it's good time. It's like Batra's such a weird choice though. She had one movie. and she wasn't even the main monster. Like it was like Mothra was the title holder in that one. There's like, oh, we'll toss in this other one too.
Doesn't that make this pretty cool though? Like,
It
oh
is
man, a
cool.
Batra one shot.
Yeah, it is cool, but it's also like, boy, there's a lot of other ones I'd rather have.
Well, and I'm sure you'll probably get. They seem to
Yeah,
be liking these. So,
yeah. So
oh,
what order
what
do
would
you
you
want to
rate
do
it?
these in?
I'm sorry,
8.5.
8.5. Okay. I don't know. You pick.
Let's just do Shazam Batman, since Batman is the big ticket.
Okay. Now I again have to show my cover for Shazam because it's just amazing.
That is rad. Wow.
Yeah, Joshua Middleton. So my whenever I post that this episode is live, I'm going to include like 4 or 5 covers because I just could not choose a favorite this
Yeah.
week. All right, but anyway, this was written by, oh gosh, I just lost the page. Josie Campbell, and then art by Doc Shaner. So I didn't really know what to expect going into this, man, but I actually thought it was pretty cool. It was a charming little first issue.
100% agree, dude. I was just like, at the very least, Doc Shanner's art is going to be perfect for this, because it is. But no, it's so good. I've not read like hardly any Mary Marvel at all, except for maybe like stuff pre New 52, but nothing post New 52 for sure. And so this is like a fun, they do a good job of like making you know who she is, what this book's about, while also kind of like not boring you with the details, if that makes sense. It's really, really good. The art in it is spectacular, and it's funny in parts.
It is funny. You know, it's basically Mary is going to college. She's trying to like figure out who she is, maybe reinvent herself. And she gets the whole superhero thing thrown at her. I know that doesn't sound terribly original, but I think this book is needed for DC because there's not really a book filling these shoes right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it, and I will definitely check out number 2.
Yeah, and I was a little worried because a lot of these times you get these books with teenage main characters, and it's like, oh, this feels like it's for an age group, but this one doesn't, which is really good because yeah, like there's a lot of times where I'm like, boy, I am too old for this book, and I didn't have that feeling. Maybe I'm just young at heart right now. I don't know.
And also, I think that Doc Shaner is today's Kevin McGuire. Like he absolutely nails like facial expressions.
Yeah.
And just the kind of happy-go-lucky vibe that's going on with this book. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I'm disappointed it's 4 issues. That's like my main strike against it right now.
Yeah, hopefully they'll do like a volume 2 if it goes well. But yeah, I'm at like an 8.5.
I'm gonna say a 9. I think I liked it a little bit more. So
cool.
Okay, so last up it is Batman 126, Fall of the Dark Knight. And this is by Chip Zdarsky with Jorge Jimenez on the art. And yeah, Batman fights the robot dude and all that stuff, and it's neat. What do you think?
The first thing that comes to mind is Jorge is just, if there's a tier above S tier, that's where Jorge is. Like the
He's
art
amazing.
is insane in this book.
Yeah.
I know he does stuff digitally, but I mean, this doesn't feel over stylized. It's just some of the best stuff you'll ever see. But overall, I liked it. I know, I was kind of like, robot stuff. It's like OP, kind of lame, but I do like they at least said, oh, it's got some Amazo tech. I'm like, okay, well, that makes it a little bit tougher then.
One thing though, like couple things that kind of annoyed me though, is like, we know Batman's gonna beat it, but then like this thing is beating, like it's making Steph and Cass look real weak. And I don't really like that. Like, I've not seen enough signal to be like, this is accurate. But because I can't really say, but those two, especially Cass, should be at least, doing a lot better than this. And it's just like, no, she gets hit twice and that's it for her. And
Right.
then like, what else was I? Oh, I was excited about the end with the end reveal. Did you read Grant Morrison's Batman? So you guys see that before?
No, but I know who it is.
Okay. And then also though, like Batman going against a robot, his first thought should be EMP. Never tries an EMP. At least not from, I didn't see that happen. And it's like, doesn't make any sense because he has to have one on his utility belt. So it didn't really add up for me. But yeah, I like this issue, and I liked it so much more than the last, Zdarsky Batman issue. I don't care about I could not get into that Catwoman story though in the back. Don't know what it is.
I'll say this: I think it's better than the mainstream Catwoman book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, but I don't hate it. I read it.
Yeah, I couldn't, like, I'm gonna try again. I just couldn't get into it. I was trying to. I was like, this isn't doing it for me. But like, I just don't get, why do we have a Catwoman story when we have a main Catwoman book? Like, there's other these, like, give us Batwoman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, I did enjoy it though. So, what do you got for it?
Man, honestly, probably like a 9.
Yeah.
I thought this one was rather enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm probably at an 8 or 8.5. I'm in that area. But like I said, I liked it. There's just little gripes I had with it, and that Catwoman story didn't quite do it. What are you excited for next week though, bud?
I have to say Batgirls for sure. Oh, there's a Red Sonja Fairy Tales one shot coming out that sounds like it's something I'll really enjoy.
Yeah.
And then I'll go ahead and say the Starhenge book. I like that first one a good bit, and I think this one will be cool.
Right on. I'm gonna say Dark Crisis, Worlds Without Green Lanterns, or Justice League World Without Green Lanterns, but whatever. That book with a really bad title. 8 Billion Genies, because of course that book is one of my favorites out right now. And Ghostrider Vengeance Forever. I know what this book is, but I'm gonna make the joke that if it's not about Marvel's vengeance and it's just a whole book about him, I'm throwing it away.
I thought it was about him. Am I wrong?
No, it's like it's one of those books where it's like a bunch of stuff about Ghostrider. It's like,
like an anthology?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's celebrating 50 years of vengeance. I don't think we're that old that 90s character Vengeance was around for 50 years.
Fair enough.
Okay, so like an idiot, I hit some gravel and broke my arm. And we're going to milk that for all it's worth. We're Disney in this shit. So why don't you tell me, for our Fantastic Four, 4 characters that would wreck their bike like an idiot and probably break their arm or something else.
So the first one that comes to mind, because he is a grade A goofball, is Booster Gold.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then this next one, I don't know about maybe break their arm, but the first time that Martian Manhunter tries to ride a bike, I could see him like falling off.
Yeah, I could see that too.
At least the JLI version of Martian Manhunter would.
Or even that backup issue Martian Manhunter that we were getting. That
Yeah, the hide your cat inside your belly Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Mr. Bloom because he's got freakishly lanky limbs and it would be hilarious.
Just the thought of him on a bike makes me happy. Right? That's hilarious.
And then finally, I'm going to say Ambush Bug.
Nice.
Because I just think that's something that would have happened in his 80s miniseries.
Yeah, for sure, man. For me, I'm gonna go Wolverine just because it's like he'd be doing something stupid. He's like, why am I even on a pedal bike as he's smoking a cigar, then not pay attention, fall and break something, then just heal back, you know? Um, and then I will say Spider-Man because he's got that old, you know, Peter Parker luck nonsense. Then I'm trying to go with mostly Marvel since you went all DC. So
I guess I did, didn't I? Well, I was trying to think of somebody that had like multiple legs,
Oh
but
yeah,
there's not really like a good one that isn't just like a spider, you know?
yeah. Oh, who's that one dude? This is a DC character, but the arm fall off man or whatever.
Oh yeah, arm
His arm
fall
would,
off boy.
yeah, arm fall off boy. It'd fall off while he's riding and wreck.
At least he wouldn't tear a bicep.
There you go. And then last, I'm gonna say, trying to think of just someone that it would be. I'm gonna go Professor X, but 90s when he was in the wheelchair.
Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's the end of the episode, folks. So time for the closing plugs. Please go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give our page a like. You can also follow us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And if you would, please go to our YouTube channel. That's 2worlds Podcast on YouTube and subscribe to the channel.
And while you're there, leave a comment about the time that you broke your arm or anything. Maybe it's just when you got your heart broken. Just let us know. We'd love to stay in chat, but I just got this tandem bicycle and me and the president here are going to go for a ride. Bye, guys.
Bye.